Hello! Today I'm going to do a review on the new Star Trek movie, Star Trek Beyond. I went and saw it last night, and I think I can pretty easily say that it is my favorite of the rebooted series so far. I love the first two, but this one just had a very different, like a different feel to it. It was like a very refreshing sort of movie, and I really loved it. And I think part of that really goes to, we had some new people in charge of the movie this time. Simon Pegg and I can't remember the other writer's name, but Simon Pegg and this other guy were the writers, and they did a brilliant job with the script. I really loved the comedy that Simon Pegg especially brought to it, and I cannot remember the other writer's name right now, but like those two working together as co-writers really did an amazing job for the script. And we also had a new director instead of J.J. Abrams, who I do love. We had Justin Lin this time, who is in charge, who has directed some of the Fast and Furious movies, which I've never seen, but he did a great job with this Star Trek movie. I really loved it. A significant amount less of lens flares, which was good. I know that's sort of a running joke that there's a lot of lens flares in the first two movies. I think the biggest part though why this one was, it felt different, it was a lot, it was really enjoyable. I don't want to say a lot more enjoyable because I like the other two. But this one was different in that it was a different setup for the characters and for the story, in that the first two, it was all about Captain Kirk, you know, finding his place in the Starfleet and finding his place in his relationship with the crew, you know, especially Spock and Bones and everyone. And it was a lot of like setting up the story and these people that, you know, we all know and love, but setting it up in a new way. And I think this time around everyone knows their place, and especially Kirk has sort of grown up from the boy that he was. He's a little bit more of like a man, and he's captain. And while he does feel a bit lost in the beginning, that's the journey he goes on, finding himself and being captain again, rather than finding himself and being just who he is. And then another part of how the setup was different this time is that, you know, they lose the Enterprise in the first half hour-ish of the movie, and I think that really, that sets it apart from the other ones, because the other ones essentially are mostly on the ship, because I mean, that's their home essentially, and everything sort of radiates around the ship and the crew, and like they as a unit, they're all there, and the entire crew is there, and they all fight from there. And this time around, they lose the ship, and then they all get separated, which I think allowed the story to go more deep into each character and to see a different layer of each character, which I found really like refreshing and just very enthralling and interesting. Especially the part where they're separated, to see like Spock and Bones were sort of island off together, which is a very interesting and very entertaining pair. I just loved seeing their banter. It was, because I mean, Bones, he's who he is, and then Spock they're very different people, but very similar, and I think they had a very interesting companionship. And then to see Kirk with Chekhov was an interesting dynamic, because I think, as just looking at his role, I think Chekhov is really coming into his own, being like an important member of the crew. And I know his situation in real life, the actor's life, is very sad. He passed away, I think, last month. That was very sad for everyone. But I did love how at the end of the movie they said, "For Anton." That was very sad. May have cried a lot, because he was my favorite character. And then most of the rest of the crew, I think, was all at Krall's, can't remember how to pronounce his name, his like headquarters. So Zoe Saldana's character, John Cho's character, and then like the rest of the crew were all there, and then Simon Pegg's character, Scotty, was by himself until he found the new character for this movie, Jaylah, who at first, like, I haven't been watching a lot of trailers or keeping up on what this movie was going to be, because sometimes I like to just go into the theater not knowing a lot, watch the movie as is. For some reason in my mind, I thought she was going to be a villain just based on promo stuff. But maybe that's just because, to me, she sort of resembled the villain, just because they were both alien. But I liked that she wasn't a villain. I really liked her character. She was very entertaining. Great choice in music, I think. Very good taste in music. And I loved seeing her interact with the crew, and the crew sort of teaching her, reteaching her, like, the sense of unity and, you know, bravery and all that. That was all very interesting. I love. As for the storyline in this one, I really enjoyed it. I know it's not an original Star Trek story. Like, the other two movies have been based off a past Star Trek story, and I'm not like a super fan of the original series yet. I've only seen a few episodes here and there of the original shows, the various original shows. I do plan to watch all of them at one point, just, you know, life. But I think this, if they were gonna like debut a new story, this was the one to do because it was really good. One of my other favorite parts of this film is how a few weeks ago they had already announced it that John Cho's character Sulu was going to be gay in this movie, and that was so exciting because it's the first gay character in Star Trek. And the way that they did it was just, I think, really amazing. One of my other favorite parts of the film is, even though Spock and Uhura did not have a lot of interaction in this one because they were separated for a good part of the film, I did like where the progression of the relationship, and I know their relationship is not like an original Star Trek story, but I really enjoy it, and I think it's a very interesting look at the two characters and how they interact, and I really like it. It's one of the things that really pulled me in, because in this new franchise, Spock is one of my favorite characters, especially played by Zachary Quinto. I love him. And I liked seeing how their relationship has grown in the movies. And I mean, it's been 3 years since the last one. In the canon of the story, it's been 3 years. And it's really interesting to see how it's grown, how their relationship has grown, and how Spock, you know, he says he feels like he has a right or like a duty to his race, to continue his race, because the Vulcan planet is gone, so there's not a lot of them left. And I understand that, but I don't think he's gonna really stick with that. But it was very interesting to see Spock from this point of view, where he's not just the science guy and who's just, you know, Kirk's best friend. He does have this duty to his people and his culture, and he feels very attached. Now, I think one of the most touching parts of the film, and I think most people agree, is the tribute to Leonard Nimoy, who passed away, I think it was last summer, May, June or something. The way that they integrated his story was very beautiful, very touching. Zachary Quinto's performance in reacting to the death of Spock the Elder was spectacular. And I know for him it probably wasn't even, you know, that much of acting. Him and Leonard Nimoy were very close, and I love how they so gracefully integrated it into the story and utilized it for Spock's plotline, Zachary Quinto's Spock's plotline. And they made it very beautiful and touching, and the picture, Zachary Quinto opens this thing and there's a picture of the original cast with Spock in it, and it was very beautiful and I loved it. Again, I cried. Like, I haven't seen a lot of the original series, but I've seen a few episodes, and I understand that, you know, he is the original Spock and he's the one who originally brought this character to life, one of my favorite characters, and I really loved the way that they paid homage to him. And then at the end they said, in loving memory or something like that, to Leonard Nimoy, and then they said for Anton. It was very beautiful. So I think that is all I have to say for today's video. I feel like I talked a lot, not really sure though. Overall, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 Enterprise ships, because I really loved it. It was a very entertaining film. It was a very emotional film. It was funny, it was exciting, it was action-packed, but it also had the really important, very Star Trek, you know, character development. It's focused on the development of the characters and their emotions. A lot of people always say it's a character-driven story, and it is, and this movie really showed that, and I think it definitely outshines the first two a bit. I love the first two, but this one I think they found their spot, and I like that. So yeah, those were all my thoughts. If you're interested in this makeup look, it's actually a Lieutenant Uhura, I always mess up her name, I don't know what it is. But it's Zoe Saldana look. When I do post this makeup video, I will link it in the down bar. And yeah, that is everything. Hope you noticed that I am wearing my Star Trek shirt today. And yeah, that is all. I will talk to you guys next time. Live long and prosper.